And we are live, and anyone who's around is very welcome to episode 3 of the Chekhov Investigations, Castle Falkenstein Adventure. The story so far. The inventor, artist, and general polymath Chekhov has been kidnapped from his exhibition at the British Museum under the noses of the person who was supposed to be protecting him
Hang on a
and
second.
the rest of the party.
No one's actually established he's been kidnapped. He's just missing.
Our current working
Yeah.
theory is that he may have staged the entire thing himself and have run off with his alleged kidnappers
Into the sunset.
into the sunset. Yes, probably hand in hand.
Yes. Okay. Has disappeared then.
Sorry.
That's all right. No, this feel free. You just feel free to screw up my what has gone before, because there is nothing evil that could happen to your character. No, don't worry about it.
So, yes,
all
welcome
good.
to the next episode of Romeo and Chekhov.
Hang on a minute. Nothing evil that can happen to my character. I'm the main suspect at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. You're also not actually on camera, so hang on one sec. I knew
Oops.
there was something I was missing.
Yeah, it's alright. No one wants to see my ugly mug.
That's okay. You're there. It's all good. I just have to make you...
What was that?
You should mute your mic when you hear that.
Something about reading his mind. Strange people. For someone godly that is behind... That's not behind the thing, right? Okay, that's better. Ooh, that takes up most of his face. Let's shrink his name down a little. Oh, Baba.
Oh.
Baby stream. Okay, so yes, Chekhov has disappeared in his party, or from his party.
Yes.
The two men who were supposed to be bodyguarding him have turned up dead outside. Apparently, dead by some kind of lightning strike.
Also, we don't believe they were killed at that place.
You do not.
We believe that they may not have been the people who left the building with him, and that they had been killed earlier and were dumped there rather than killed on the spot.
Although we failed to gather the evidence to actually ascertain that.
No, that you're surmising it at the moment quite heavily, but you have no actual proof.
It's largely down to the fact that they themselves show damage from a lightning strike, and the ground around them doesn't. Is
Yep.
the main piece of evidence for that.
Also, you have found the body when exploring the other wing of the museum, where you believe Chekhov may have either been taken or gone. You found the deceased body of a fae who had been killed with a blade made of true iron.
Well, you say Faye, one of the others.
Well,
Not one of the right sort.
no, one of the wrong sort, isn't it? It didn't go to the right school. Yeah, it's wrong school tie, the whole bit. But yes, was found
The wrong side of the ceiling.
exactly. Was found wearing the same suit as the bodyguards were wearing, and carrying a saber as the guards had been wearing before. Near his body, there is an open window leading onto the roof, and Carter surmised that access had been gained via a rope that was then found on the roof, and Chekhov removed from there. Going through his knowledge of the grim, dark and evil side of life, Carter then offered a possible identity for somebody who would be brutal enough to perform this kind of extraction. And the suggestion was one Benjamin Hawke, a renowned cleaner and extraction expert, who is renowned for leaving no loose ends. You have no direct proof, but it does seem to fit his motif. So you have a dead Fae, dressed as a guard. You have 2 dead guards. You have a letter inviting Aloysius, Randolph's brother, to a nefarious meeting with a strange Prussian agent.
And that's the only kind of meeting Aloysius has.
Yeah. Which appointment Randolph quite sensibly decided to keep himself. Which means that you are all in the entrance hall of the British Museum, while outside everybody else who was at the party is having conversations to one degree or another with the police and the detectives. Yes,
I would have
because
thought many of them have left by now.
a lot of them have left,
Right.
but they're all outside. They're either gone or they're trying to go.
Mhm.
There's nobody out, no guests left in the building proper. You basically made your way back the long way round, and the gallery has been emptied. So while there are detectives
Well,
outside,
it is 10 o'clock at night.
it is indeed.
That is the appointed time.
It is, and I also have to turn my phone to silence because otherwise Techie will be announcing all sorts of alerts. So hush, dear. Thank you. So, you have secreted yourselves around the entrance hall, which looks similar to this. Give you an idea of where you're standing. The bulls are just past where you can see the pillars. So between the pillars and the staircase on either side.
Okay.
The 5-legged magic bulls. Go figure. Love that design. Everybody walks past them at least 4 times before double taking and going, hang on. They wanted to show them both
They
in
are
motion.
weird, aren't they?
Yeah. Both in motion and standing at the same time.
Yeah, I knew it, and I still had to do a double take when I just looked at the image again.
Yeah. It's because if you look at it from the side, it looks fine. If you look at it from the front, it looks fine. It's when you look at it from this angle, you go,
Yeah.
hold on one there. To anyone who is watching or happens to watch later, by the way, we would normally have a Night Bites with us. But Night Bites is at the moment enjoying a trip away from the wilds and the internet with his little girl. So we're hoping they have a good time. And deserves it. So Carter at the moment is polymorphed to NPC, and I will shuffle him aside as soon as possible. Right, so Livercane is hiding inside one of the bulls,
Yep.
peering out through its eyeballs. So if you look carefully, one of them will blink periodically. Where, for preference, has Alexei concealed himself?
We're doing a bit of a Doctor Who here, aren't we? Because
Yeah, a little bit.
at the end of the last.
I'm probably
Yeah.
going to be by one of the statues near the either side of the stairs because
Okay.
it looks rather dark.
It does
So it's going to
indeed.
be a good source of just being out of sight.
Yep. Yes, it was only when I picked this photo, this engraving, I looked at it and I went, oh yes, Hall and Staircase of the New British Museum by Sir R. Smirk, architect. And I just thought, okay. Yep, can't get away from me. So,
Those shadows are just shadows.
yes, yeah, absolutely. It's all fine. No problem whatsoever.
Doc with a lowercase D.
Right. So yes, lurking through the shadows from the other direction came the man you have identified as Graf Friedrich Klein, a Prussian agent. And when he saw you, because he was calling for Aloysius, and Randolph stepped out, he drew his cane
I can't remember what I said, but it was probably something along the lines of, I'm afraid Aloysius couldn't make it.
Not a million miles away, actually. I was back listening.
Something along those lines.
Yes. I hope you don't mind the slightly universal serial Doctor Who recap.
No, that's fine.
It's just with the big gaps. That's what I find most useful to kind of get people back into the position. Also means I can shuffle people around if need be. Oh gosh, I forgot. So
And then this dashed bounder drew a weapon.
he did indeed. You are using your sword cane as a cane. He is using his sword cane as a sword.
I recall, yes, he did indeed draw a blade from
He
his
did.
cane, at which point I just kind of hopped my own cane up into the air and caught the other end, rather than the end with the knob on,
Yep.
and went into a suitable fencing stance. Tavernier.
Yes, that wonderful one that looks like you've just broken your wrist.
Yeah. Which I realised actually is a really cool way to learn to fence if you're into horses, because it's pretty much the same pose as a cavalry charge holds the sabre.
Oh my god. Oh, yes,
Almost
you're right.
exactly the same as I was only realising that listening to the Simon Scarrow books on Wellington and Napoleon. And as Wellington went charging into battle, in my head I could see how he was holding the sabre, and I just suddenly realised it was the same pose.
It is. It is indeedy. So, we have our first proper combat. So, the one thing they haven't given us is how initiative works. So,
Initiative?
yes.
There is initiative?
Is this a kind of situation where we're going to be burning through cards relatively quickly?
I think
It's
so.
possible, yes, that card burning may occur a little bit. Yes, just a bit. So, that's the other thing I actually need open.
Turns and time in combat
Oh, thank you.
should be taken in order of highest to lowest perception ability. If equal, all actions are taken by mutual consent, but are considered simultaneous.
That was it. I knew it wasn't a standard, and I was trying very hard to remember which it was. So that's not a problem. Right.
That's not the
So,
finest of gradations, though.
It's not.
That means that my initiative sucks.
Does Quigley
I
only
did-
have average perception?
Yes, I did not make Randolph particularly perceptive. It's not really his
dear.
thing.
The upper class don't have to be perceptive, they just have to be persuasive.
Yes, they have other people to notice things for them.
Oh, dearie me.
Anything important is happening. My man, you see, nudges me and says, "Oh, that's
You didn't bring your man with you.
no. I haven't even detailed who my man is. I've only just this second realised I probably ought to have one."
Okay.
A man is useful in many more situations than just. I can't actually keep a straight face.
No, you did. There are some you just go, you know what? Step away from the sentence and just
Yep,
let it lie. Let it ferment a while. It'll be fine. Okay, I can tell you that the Graf does have a great perception.
So he
Ooh,
definitely.
he's
doesn't
going
know
first.
than me.
So this
Yep, he's
professional
going first no
secret
matter what.
agent has something of a good perception.
Irk.
Yes.
I'm guessing he's probably got quite a high courage as well.
I'm also guessing there's a slight chance he's going to have noticed me then.
Actually,
With that
there
perception,
isn't.
he may have.
Actually, there isn't.
Oh, that's good then.
Because he was focusing entirely on overt threats and looking for Aloysius. And he did not see.
Yes, I suppose he's been a bit distracted since realising this wasn't Aloysius.
Yes, plus I also have a separate deck of cards on my table, which a physical one. So I drew one earlier, so it's all good.
Fair enough.
So I don't feel the need to tell the stream, everything I do. You're not the boss of me.
No, well, that's why when I'm GMing, I always stream a player's eye view
Yeah,
in a separate window rather than my GM's eye view.
yeah. I am
Because
seeing the merit.
if nothing else, I just think it's nice for the viewers. I know that when I'm watching a stream, I don't want to know up in advance what's happening. I want to hit it at the same time the players do. I want to be in on that. It gives you a sense of participation.
Yeah. Okay. Hand-to-hand weapon. You are using the equivalent of that's
It's an interesting one.
yeah.
It's not
Technically,
in the list. It's technically a cudgel or club, but
mm,
but I'm
except
using
it
it with
isn't.
fencing because that's what I'm
Yeah.
doing.
What I'm going to do then is I'm going to class it using the fencing skill,
Yes, good.
but it's going to do a less. It's going to do basically one less wound per level.
I would have simply used the cudgel damage, whatever
Yeah.
that may be, cudgel or club damage, but with the fencing skill.
Yeah, I could do with cudgel and club.
Yeah.
If you want to use cudgel
It
and
is
club.
technically a better weapon than a cudgel or club, but it's not as good as it would be if it was purely a fighting cane, because it's not as solid. Being a sword cane, it will neither
lighter.
have, it will neither have as heavy a knob on the end nor as solid a shaft, because it's got to have a sword there. So it's not going to have been drilled out and filled with lead,
Which was a standard tactic, I gather.
which was not uncommon.
Which is a scary concept. Okay. So, Fishy, your perception is average. His perception is great. He is going first.
Yes, he is.
He is attacking with rapier. So,
So I'm assuming we are on spades here.
we are.
And can you remind me, how good do I have to be allowed more than one card?
You have to be good. Poor
So
and
good gets me a
average.
second card.
Poor and average get one.
Right. So I'm allowed a second card if I want one. That's cool.
Okay. What is your health going to be?
That is a very good question.
What is your
which I
courage?
do not have. My courage, I believe is average. Yep.
And your physique? Please, God, don't let that be average.
Oh, that's average.
Right, I'm going to tell you this in the most loving way possible. If he hits you, there's a 1 in 3 chance you'll die on the first blow.
Not going to say that. Should not say such things.
Given that I recognise this guy, do I know of his martial prowess? I mean, I know that he's high-ranking in Prussian intelligence. Do I know? Have I heard rumours, or do I know of his martial prowess as well?
Right, make me a connections check, please, because this is a slightly different question.
Yeah. Okay, let me get my character sheet up. Right, my connections are great, so that gives me an 8 to start with.
Yeah.
Do I need more than that?
Yes, because it's kind of specific.
Sure. Screen.
Well, either way, I'm obviously going to be.
What do I need for? I need
everything I can into parrying this first blow.
I need that
which
for that.
is going
Okay.
to be a
Right.
7.
I will throw a 5. So
Okay.
giving me a 13.
Okay, that's almost a challenging success, so that is a full success. Right. He is not a renowned duelist.
Right.
You know that he has engaged in performance bouts in public, but as far as you know, he is not a world-renowned duelist. Certainly, he doesn't have any of the dueling scars that an avid swordsman might well have picked up.
Okay, so I know him to be a very competent swordsman, but
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
He's competent, but he's not world class. Generally speaking, he is not going to be fighting his way through hordes of.
Yeah.
I'm
He's dead shot from behind from about 30 centimeters away.
I'm putting my money on that. However, when it comes to melee combat, on him being better than me, not necessarily higher in terms of his actual ability, but the other things that go around it. I'm guessing that. I mean, we already know his perception is awesome. I'm guessing that his physique and courage are better than mine as well. So the only thing that I can match him on, hopefully, is I'm hoping that he is only good at fencing.
Yep, you can hope that. You should definitely hope that.
Well, if he's not, then we're dead. Well, I'm dead anyway. And we are equivalent first level characters here, so I would bloody hope he's not better than that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's okay.
Are you sure that I can't borrow a character from a different game? Because I found Scarlet Martinez's second edition character.
That's cheating. You are not.
Fourth level fighter swashbuckler kit could be really useful right now.
Your playtest Witcher might also come in handy.
Yes, he could be useful too.
Yes. Yeah, if he's not busy suffering withdrawal symptoms. Right.
I can't do the voice for an entire stream though, so.
No. Right. So he indeed gets a card. No, he doesn't, because this is an interesting one actually. He must do, because unlike a normal feat, where I set the difficulty level, this is
him.
This is him
The
attacking.
difficulty level
so,
is set by me. This is him attacking, so he's the one who's.
So, just to
I
recap,
actually need cards.
you asked Hint for his courage to determine health.
Courage and physique.
Courage and physique. Okay, and that what gives you a numeric value for?
It does.
Okay, so at the levels for the card values, and do you sum that or?
What that actually gives you, she says, going to the right file. Sorry.
Is a cross-reference value off a table, right?
Yeah. So average gets you a health of 5.
Right.
If you take in blows, which are basically bashing combat, and wounds 5 or more, you'll fall over. If you take wounds of more than 5, you fall over and you might be dead. And if you're playing a heroine, and no, just because you guys mostly took the heroine style of hero, you do not get to do the constitutional swoon. They can take constitutional damage because they can actually suffer a swoon if they have low enough health. It's the, oh, woe's me. I am being handled most roughly. Please let me look for
smelling
a chaise
salts.
It is, yeah, exactly. Yeah, smelling salts can bring you out of a constitutional swoon. I just think it's brilliant. This is how, young ladies end up waking up halfway to the Dragon Empire in a shipping container with an artful minor bruise, but having fallen over because they took like 6 points of constitution damage.
Cool. Just so that I'm aware, so for me, as a fairy, I can use my etherealness instead of courage when working out my health.
Yep.
But it does say that fairies, I mean, on the document that you sent me, it says fairies use their courage in one of 4 situations, one of which is their opponent has a fencing or marksmanship of great or higher.
Yep.
So does that mean that if that occurs, I cannot use my...
Exactly. Basically, if someone has a great or higher fencing, then they are deemed to be too skilled for you to phase around them. Basically.
Sure. Okay.
I will tell you, that's not something you need to worry about in this fight.
Cool. Okay.
In this fight, you can indeed, if you wish, use your etherealness.
Sure. So that would be a great. So if it's etherealness plus physique, then for me that's
it's
great
etherealness
plus
and physique.
great plus average.
Great and average physique gives you 7 points of health.
Sure. Cool. Thank you.
While we're here, Alexei, what is Alexei's courage and physique, just on the off chance that he decides to get into a fight? Unless he muted himself.
I know I was muted.
That's
I was
right.
just literally loading the file up.
Okay, no problem.
I've got no values for it.
So average on both then, I'm
Average
guessing.
on both then. So
Yeah.
again, you've got 5 health. Yeah.
Take it athletics don't change that at all.
No, it's pure stat.
No.
It's the original
Yeah.
value, not the
That's cool.
speciality. Okay. Now we all know where everybody stands. 6 feet under.
No, not necessarily.
Floating in a ball. Wait.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just kicking back with a book. It's
They really don't. I'm reconsidering my earlier suggestion.
yeah.
They really don't like cudgels and clubs in this game.
They don't. This is why I was quite surprised. I thought you.
Just hatpins.
He hadn't read it properly. Now he's ready. He's like, oh crap.
Is it because they are rather boorish weapons?
They are. How can I put this? Pathetic.
Yeah.
What I will do.
And the same
they're very
damage as
blunt.
life preservers. Well, the same damage as life preservers I can see, but life preservers being that low, this is a rule written by a man who's never actually encountered one.
Yeah, having now encountered one, I would be
Yeah,
scared of
having-
getting hit with one.
Had one shown to us. That's a nasty piece of kit.
Yes, for something 6 inches long.
Yeah, something like that.
Apologies for drinking, and this is mostly to the stream because I know I've apologised to you guys. It's hot in here. So, what I'm going to do then, Fish, is
my
for yours.
My problem is I'm falling over on the second round of combat.
Yeah, scale it for the blow, the highest level of blow. Okay, ignore what it says about physique, because that's basically punching. It seems unreasonable to me that a trained fencer doing convigne is doing less damage than somebody who's punching you.
Well, that's this is a common thing in a lot of games that they don't reflect the reality of combat because it's quite difficult unless you actually do, have hands-on experience, which very few people do, to make these rules.
Yeah. So let's go with the GM knows best. And take the numbers as wounds for your cane, okay? So 2, 3, and 4 for partial, full, and high, okay?
Okie dokie.
Right.
That's not unreasonable. I can accept that.
Yeah, that's better than the cudgel, which is kind of pathetic. But they will actually be wounds. It's a reasonable set of numbers. So, he is indeed playing.
Going to hurt me a lot.
Going to hurt you a lot.com.
This comes down to whether he
is
hurts me
he?
a lot or kills me outright.
Balls. I need a card. Because I've only got 3 cards. So I need a card. Oh, for the love of little green fish bits!
Hang on, have we got Tal on this stream?
Needs spades,
To be honest, no, he needs clubs.
Yeah, okay, fair play.
To be honest here, he's only got to suit match to hit me.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't.
Yeah. Heart, diamond, heart, diamond.
Oh, wow. That's about the only thing that could have saved me there.
And anybody who is on stream, if they happen to be in chat, can see that I am not lying.
Oh, I trust you. I believe you.
Well, if nothing else, I couldn't exactly fib when there in the open on the stream.
Yeah.
I'm good like that.
So I
He
came to a total
can-
of 10, and he's actually not going to make that.
He
But
can add
he
2
is-
cards, which would only be worth 2.
which I'm assuming will put him to 8.
Yeah.
So what does he have to try and beat in or
Right. If the defender
Mhm.
beats the score, beats the attacker, then the defender wins and no harm. If the attacker
Essentially, I'm using my
wins,
fencing ability plus cards
right? Okay, so it's
to
an
set the difficulty he's got to beat.
it's an opposed check.
it's an opposed check,
It is
basically.
a
Okay.
opposed check, yeah.
All I can say is it looks appears to be on your side.
Believe that.
Mm,
Dumb
The bull-
freaking
yes.
bastards.
Anyone looking in the bull's direction notices a smirk.
Another one. Yeah. So basically, if he makes it, if he beats your score, he's hit you for the low. If he beats you by time and a half, then he hits you for the normal. If he doubles what he needs, then he hits you for high damage.
High damage, yes.
And then we get into that whole, do you die instantly?
Well,
So,
he's got to get time and a half to kill me with one blow.
yeah, it's fine. I don't know what you're worried about, to be honest. It's all absolutely fine. It's no worries at all.
Yep.
I'm going to kill his character.
So, Randolph performs a competent but unspectacular parry,
Yes,
which proves to be quite adequate, in fact.
Yes.
As
that's
the Graf, I don't know,
definitely
slips on a banana peel or something and makes the most awful lunge.
hash of it. Yes, it's competent, but it would be competent in a salon with an opponent who was willing to stand there and be hit.
It's competent drilling, it's not actually combat.
Yep. So 2 cards.
I think that really applies on both sides, to be honest.
Yeah.
Mine was slightly more competent, though. I at least had a black card.
I got a card. Sorry.
And it must be my turn.
It is. It is indeedy.
Now, I'm going to make life very difficult for you.
Uh-huh.
Yes, because I kind of want to do a cold shot.
Right. In a system not geared for cold shots.
In a system not geared for cold shots, yes.
Right, okay. Drafting in
So-
The Witcher.
Okay,
What are you targeting?
right.
You were prepped for that.
I have just parried his blow, right?
Yeah.
So I'm in the ready position,
Yeah.
and I have parried his blow.
You're going to be coming
Probably
round.
just like that, and then I'm
Yeah.
going to be sweeping round in the
Yeah.
way one does with Champigny, aiming not for his head as one normally would, but for his hand. The one at the front with a sword in it.
Right. Fish, do you have any deceptive skills? Okay.
I'm poor at stealth, if that counts.
Okay then. So
It
it's
could be argued that yes, I have deceptive skills, in fact, because I have social graces, comeliness, and connections all high. And I think they're all that's just 3 different names for lying. That's
Okay. Okay. Let me just double check that there is no cold shot.
I mean, really, all I want out of this is just when we get to the narrative portion of assessing any damage, that you bear in mind that the hand is the chosen target.
Okay.
So, he's going to take the same damage, but if you can,
Right.
if you could work the narrative on that based on the idea that I've aimed at his arm.
Right, okay. He is indeed going to be attempting to parry your blow.
Yes, I thought he might.
So his right hand is sweeping up into a parry. It's going to be quite a good one. I hate to have to say it.
You know those things where you can use a second card and you really don't think you need to use a second card, but you're going to anyway because you've got a crap card in your hand and you want to get rid of it?
Mm-hmm.
So this 3 of hearts will add 1 to my score. But then this Jack of clubs
Right. You see, I wasn't actually laying it on the table because although the stream could see it, I didn't want to show you just yet what his defence was, although I probably should have done.
Well, no, I mean, why would I know in advance what his defence is going
Sorry,
to be?
what were you saying? Quina.
Sorry, I was going to say, so like my perception is good. My perception is good. So in theory, if I wanted to act, I guess I could have acted between the two.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see what Quigley was going to do first.
Yeah, that's
In
fair
seeing
enough.
him go to do that, is there any way that I can effectively aid or either aid Quigley or act to distract, basically give the Graf a penalty? Is there room in the initiative or the timings for me to do that?
Not in this first round.
Right. Okay.
However, in the second round, assuming that Fishy survives, which unless he falls over and fumbles, which can kill you.
I know the odds are against me, but I am actually winning this fight.
Right, so his good is...
So you say there's something in the second round that I can do?
Yeah. In
Right,
the second
okay.
round, between his attack and Randolph, you can slot in with something.
Okay, for that, I'm just talking about now. Is there anything that at this point, or do you have to take your action at the time that you?
To be honest,
I
actually,
mean,
you're
essentially what he's
thinking
saying
about
is-
it. You could effectively have held your action until the end
Yeah,
of the round.
exactly.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we count this as a held action that will come?
Yes,
really
in that
good
case,
from
I
the-
will allow that. What did you
Cool.
have in mind?
So I want to startle the
Uh-huh.
Graf,
Yeah.
hopefully, so that so it's it's a disconcerting. Basically, I'm going to use my auditory glamour
Yep.
power to simulate a sound that will hopefully startle him, and either he fumbles onto his weapon, or is it enough to throw him off balance?
Yeah. He's going to be taking a check of some description in
Yeah.
order to maintain his concentration.
So
Okay.
what I will be doing is creating a very localized sound of an exploding cannon in his ear.
Oh, you bastard. I love it. Right, okay. We'll let this attack and defence play out, and then at the end of the round, frag-a-boom. So, Fish, what was your attack total?
My attack total came in at 18.
16. His defence.
Yeah.
So, that's half damage. Well, that's the low
That's
damage.
the low end damage, so 2 points.
2 points, yes. What? Why have you written it down there, OneNote? What are you doing? Why are you doing it there and not there? Where I actually
I'm
clicked.
going to assume that only a partial success, which is what this counts as, is not going to be enough in any way to act as a disarm, but it's still on target.
Yeah, it's on target.
First
and
bruising to me.
Yes. Yes, you've definitely clonked the back of his arm with that. Come round with a smack. He has attempted to parry where he thought you were going, and in the meantime has put his forearm roughly in the direction of your cane.
Right in the path of my weapon.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was defending his
Aha.
head. That's not where you were going. So, that is recall everything on the table.
Right. Have I got an L? I don't think I have. That's annoying.
Deal 2 cards to Fishy. And 1 card to me. Because I've got to get something.
Okay, I don't need that card.
Okay, I am in deep, deep trouble.
Right.
Well, hopefully we can startle him enough for you to get a bit more of an advantage.
Yes, so there is a clang, thwap, quite solid, meaty noise. We like meaty noises. Meaty noises are good. Sorry. Having been on the receiving end of such a noise, it hurts. hurts. It really, really does. So his is average. Okay. Right. So at the end of the round, would you like to make me
My glamour check.
a glamour check, please?
Right, glamour auditory because of specialisation. I am good in it, so that gives
boy.
me a base of 6.
Okay.
It's hearts, so I am throwing in that 8 to make it 14.
You're not
And I am
bad.
also throwing in that 5 to make it 2 on the half for, on the associated suits.
Yeah.
So that's a 16.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, that but amplified just in his ear.
Yeah.
But more so.
I think that's what came out to the rest of them.
Yeah.
Right, so that's going to be I'm going to make that his target number to basically resist that. So that is going to be it's probably going to be a physique check, or it's either going to be physique or courage, I think. For that,
Yeah, whatever deals with like constitutional.
it's going to be physique. Annoyingly, because that's actually physically painful. That louder noise is going to
Yeah, sure.
cause him some severe problems.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, it could rupture an eardrum.
Now there's a thought. There's a happy little idea.
No one ever said elves are nice.
No, ever. Never, ever. Okay, so we're looking for hearts. Unfortunately, he can only chuck one card in, because he's only got an average physique. He is not designed for the running, jumping, climbing trees, stabbing people thing.
Heads of intelligence rarely are.
So, he can chuck that in, but that still only brings him up to a 14.
Ooh.
So, he clutches. Which side did you go for?
So, his left ear. Oh no, right ear actually.
Okay.
Is he right-handed?
He is right-handed, yes.
Yeah, his right ear.
Okay. His hand reflexively goes up to his right ear, which does have his sword in it. No, he does not stab himself in the head.
I was hoping he would drop it. Oh, he's probably left himself open.
But yes, he's not getting his attack this round.
Yay.
And his defense is going to be at a severe penalty. He's basically going to drop to paw for his defense instead of what he would be dealing with. Okay?
Cool.
Because his hand's up there, he's in pain, and he's barely able to get anything in your direction at all. So, there is a boom, which does not shake the room. And then he is yelling, basically, while clutching one side of his head, and you can step in and be all dishonourable and attack him if you so wish.
Yes, this is an interesting question. He is a bounder and a cat.
He's Prussian.
And the enemy of a foreign power.
He is the
That's
enemy.
the agent of an enemy power.
Yes, he is very
but
much.
at the same time, he is also a gentleman, ostensibly. Has not proved himself to be otherwise besides his knowledge of Aloysius.
Oh, actually, just to rewind there a moment. Quickly, you probably do assume that he is an enemy, but at this point, Prussia and England are allies, aren't they?
It's an interesting
It wasn't really
situation.
Prussia I was thinking.
No, okay, yeah.
Prussia is allied to England. However,
This
Prussia
chap, I
is an
assume, to be
enemy
allied
of
to
the crown.
Steam Lords.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And
Yeah, it gets a
therefore,
little bit
an enemy
wafty.
yes.
Yes. And he did draw on you.
Is there any way? Actually, yeah, there is, isn't there? All I have to do is just anything at all other than hit him. so that I can burn a card on it and try and get something better for the next round if I don't want to actually attack him this round. I've just got to think of something that I can do, because I desperately need new cards.
Is there any way you can disarm him?
But that's what I was trying to do in the first place. I suppose.
Yeah, but
I
you've
could
got
take
the advantage now.
Yeah, but even if he throws no cards, which he will be able to do still, and even with his rating reduced to 4, which out of character I know is going to happen, I still can't disarm him with the cards I've got in my hand and my current skill level. I do not have the numeric. The best I can get is an 8.
So are you going to attempt to try and talk him down at this point?
Literally, the only thing that would enable me to disarm him is if Linda plays no cards. And that's just not going to happen. She's still going to play that one card, and she literally only needs 1 point to get it up to the level where I can't disarm.
Yeah.
If I'm understanding how she would handle the disarm. So I think talking to him at this point is probably my best bet, because I've got the cards for that.
I was going to say, am I not able
the skills
to
for that?
card?
So the obvious thing at this point is, for this round while he's not attacking me, to use that time to attempt to persuade him to surrender, essentially. But I'm thinking in terms of how I'm going to actually do this. Because
If you were going to go for the disarm, can I not?
Can you trying to think of a way to help?
Yeah,
Well,
because I know we had a previous situation where we could chuck a card in to help.
you can attempt a combined action, but Quigley doesn't know that you're there or planning it.
Right, okay.
So that makes cooperation tricky.
No, that's fair enough. I just want to clarify it before I did try to do anything.
You could attempt to do something like grab him from behind. You could try and immobilize him yourself.
Am I not
saying
too far away?
That would be an interesting question.
Because I'm looking at the picture and there's several steps between me and the flat bit.
Oh yes, there. I mean, obviously there would be athletics checks involved.
Yeah, although I'm good at athletics.
Yeah, and I'm making no promises as to whether or not such an action would be successful.
Yeah, by the time I've made that distance, Quigley's already going to have started whatever he's doing, so there's no point.
I will tell you now, it would definitely be ungentlemanly conduct.
I'm not a gentleman anyway.
That's fair.
I'm probably the one in the circle that's not.
Oh, I don't know. I think the Aussie who...
yeah, I think the Aussie's definitely not a gentleman.
Yeah, also hasn't done anything.
I don't know, he's got a little bit more class than I have.
Fair enough.
I think my best option at this point is probably to try and use charisma.
Okay.
Which I am only average at, not the most charismatic of people.
What do you have that you're not average at, Fish?
Fencing, social graces, comeliness, connections, exchequer, education.
Fair enough.
I mean, if I can persuade him to surrender via a point of law through education, I'm great at that. Well, excellent at it anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Attacking a member of the aristocracy on British soil? Point of diplomatic law?
Give him something.
I mean, I could theoretically attempt to use connections. My reasoning for not using connections, which is the obvious way to intimidate him into surrendering at this point, it would be in the name of the crown, essentially. My reason for not doing that is I don't have the cards for it.
Ah.
I have the cards for charisma. That's
diamonds, isn't it?
Or comeliness, but I don't think that's a good plan. In the middle of the fight, suddenly breaking off and saying, "Do you come here often?"
This is like, there are some people who appear to think that Witcher verbal combat can be won with seduction rolls. They reckon that that's the most effective tactic. I have had to point out to a few people,
would
it's not
fit with-
necessarily going to fit the métier of the person you're talking to.
Yeah, or I have got the cards for education.
Mm-hmm.
So possibly, if we assume education covers debating, that might.
I would
work.
certainly place. Yeah, that's
Um,
public speaking, debating. Yeah, I see no reason not to put that under education.
Because I've got great.
I mean, if you're using an appeal to rhetoric, then
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, somebody was in the debating
there's
society.
equivalent to a university degree.
Yes.
So that might be.
I'm going to have to ask for
Yeah.
a decision. Sorry, Fish.
I'm going to hold my
I
action
know,
till
I'm
the
sorry,
end of this round.
I'm.
No, I know
In
you
some
are working your way
respects,
through
in some respects, I'm being terribly bad here because I always say to players that you
Don't overthink.
game, I will work out how that fits the mechanics.
Yeah.
But the mechanics in this game are so slightly unusual that it's kind of throwing me off. It's knowing I can't roll a die, is what does
Yeah.
it. Anything else, I can say, right, this is what I want to do. Now I will see whether chance lets me do it. This game, I already know what chance will let me do and what chance won't let me do.
Yeah.
So it's not a matter of decide what you want to do and roll the dice. It's a matter of these are my options. Which one is going to work? The card mechanic in this game, I like the card mechanic in this game, but it changes the feel of play very much to a pick the thing that's going to work mechanic. Which, with these cards, I don't have a good option. I don't have an option that I would naturally go for. Because I would naturally go for either an attempt to intimidate him, which my best bet would be connections.
Mm-hmm.
I can get 2 points added to connections. So no, I'm just going to have to fall back on forgetting about the mechanics of this game system altogether and actually just playing my character, and that is going to have to be an intimidation. So I'm going to fail it because I don't have any better options.
So you're intimidating him on connections.
I can't think of any other way to intimidate him than connections, because I certainly can't do it with physique.
Okay. You're not going to argue for the inclusion of a conversion to a different suit?
I can't honestly see how I can argue for the conversion to a different suit.
Okay.
They just don't make sense. It's not that the other suits make sense, it's that I don't have the suits that make sense.
Right. So you're attempting you're going to use
I could
spades.
I suppose I could try and bribe him with, I think Diamonds covers Exchequer, doesn't it?
Diamonds does indeed cover Exchequer. No, Spades.
Oh no, spades covers him.
So I can't even do that.
Diamonds is gambling.
Yeah. I've literally got comeliness, charisma, and education are the 3 things that my cards apply to.
Yeah.
And none of them is useful in this situation, to be completely honest.
I mean, so what you're going to attempt to use connections on the grounds of that you are an agent of the crown, or
yes, absolutely. Something along the lines of as I take a step back out of range of his cane while he is distracted.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, this does not need to become an international incident. Put up your sword.
Make the check.
Okay, well, I will throw 2 points in. I'll throw that one, and I will waste one of my queens.
I don't waste one of my queens.
wasted.
Wasted.
Which gives me an 8.
Right. Is this going to come back on connections? I think it may have to.
I would have thought courage.
Yeah.
I mean, surely I'm going to be up against his courage, because
Yeah,
what
that's
he's
true.
doing here is he is attempting to stand his ground in the face of a possible international incident.
It's either going to be his courage or his education. Basically, it's his courage to resist an international incident, the horror thereof, or education to know that you're talking twaddle.
To know that he could get it, that
He
he
could
could
get
avoid
away
an
with it.
international incident.
But surely it's going to be more courage, because at the moment he's losing.
Okay. I love
So
everybody
surely
getting-
he's got to have the balls to be able to think, actually, I'm going to win this. But at the moment he's on the floor.
He's not on the floor, except technically his boots are. But he's not happy about this. So his courage is great. So he is on great
Does-
So much
courage.
better than me.
I assume the explosion in his ear doesn't affect that.
No, his courage is not affected by the pain in his ear. This is a different. It's a different thing.
It's more that has created a situation in which I can even attempt this.
Very. So I need
mean,
to be on
the same.
that
If I had,
page.
without that distraction, without that
I wouldn't even let you have a go.
convenient use of glamour, yeah, I would just be going nowhere. You know,
That's fair enough. And I do apologise if I overstep as well.
an incident,
Hey,
and he just ignores
Trust
me.
me, no. Okay, so his courage is great, so he can chuck in 2 cards. So it'll be that one for the 6, which puts him to 14.
So there you go. Yeah, he's already stomped on
Yeah.
me.
I
mean, to be honest, he would have won that by not throwing any cards in, I think, wouldn't he? No, he would have equalled me by not throwing any cards in. So depending on whether, I think defender wins. So technically, he can win this without using a card.
Yeah, that gives him a
All
14.
this does is fulfill my requirement of, for God's sake, give me 2 new cards, please.
I thought, because bear in mind you're on half value for those 2. Because they're colour
No,
matching.
because I'm using.
you're not colour matching.
Spades.
You want spades?
I'm not
yes.
colour matching. I've got literally nothing here.
I'm trying desperately to be nice to you here.
No, there is no nice to me.
No, okay.
The circumstances don't allow nice to me.
In relation to where they are dueling and position-wise,
Yeah.
is Quigley between me and the agent?
No. The agent is between you and
Certainly not
Quigley.
at the moment. If nothing else, Randolph's just taken a step backwards.
Yeah.
What? This is kind of a try to be helpful idea.
Okay.
I have magic.
Yes.
I know you like magic.
It's fine.
What if I was to cast a spell to send a shock of lightning into the sword, enough to make him drop it? Not enough to hurt him.
I would say, Fishy, you've got the rule book up as well. 50-50 which of us can get to the appropriate page in time.
I have no idea where the magic rules are.
Okay.
So
Hi, Sorcery. Hi, Sorcery. How you doing? In which case, remember 189 for me, please. You stay on the combat page.
Because obviously I'm good in sorcery. I've got a specialisation in forces of nature. Now I know lightning is very lethal.
I will keep my mouth shut about science on this particular.
Magic doesn't require science.
Magic has to do with science, indeed. Yeah.
Oh, magic does indeed follow science. It's just it follows its own version of science.
Yeah.
It's its own science, yeah.
It is its own thing.
I'm just praying there's kind of enough static in the air or something to do.
You grab a piece of wool and there's a perspex bar and sit there going like this for a while.
Well, bear in mind that there's already been some form of lightning outside. It's been raining as well. I'm just hoping there's enough residual to do enough of a shock to make him let go of the sword.
Yeah, okay. Alright then. What we need is...
Well, I don't know. He's shocking the sword, not the person. If it was the person, then yes, definitely he would clamp down on the sword at that
Exactly.
point.
This is to make enough of a shock in the sword that it's like, what the hell?
So you're hoping for more of a spark rather than
Yes.
a
Full-on
large amount of
electrocution,
current.
yeah.
It's not going to be a huge
An
amount. No, it's got to be enough to make it go
An
through the
actual
sword.
current will cause him to grip the sword. Maybe.
Yes.
But a spark.
Yeah.
It's me on every escalator ever. I don't know
You're
why.
very much the
Nobody else
static
gets this.
electricity thing.
Every single time I board an escalator, I get an electric shock.
Right.
A full-on
Yeah, but that's
crack.
like me when I close the laptop at work. I get a full-on.
Fair enough.
No reason why, because it's earthed. But
I discovered this week that if you have, I think it's EDS, the joint, the hypermobility thing, you are more likely to be able to create sparks because apparently that is a biological thing and you can frag computers. And there are so many people popping up going, computers always go wrong at work when I'm working on them. That makes sense now. One very depressed computer engineer who said, right. But no, that was one that was just, what?
I have quite a few friends with EDS. Actually, I should ask them.
Yeah. Apparently it's down to the negative electrical charge in the skin as a result of the condition. It was just one of those, you looked at it and went, no, that's a superhero origin.
Yeah.
Stop it. But no, it's apparently genuine. Okay, so we want a momentary spell duration. So that's a 1. A spell involves only 1 element. So 2. Spell must perform only 1 task. Is a 5. Spell range within unaided sight is a 7. Subjects affected 1, 8. Subject is not another wizard.
is this coming from my magic cards that I don't have yet?
That you don't have yet, yeah, I know.
Okay.
Because I slightly messed up. I didn't mess up. I was slightly cruel to you when casting the spell previously.
Oh, right,
So
okay. It worked.
So I make that as an 8 difficulty.
Okay.
Do you have noted down what kind of power you're looking at? Have you noted down the suit that your elemental is in?
Oh, God, now you're asking. No, I don't think I ever had the suits for the elementalism, did I?
Okie day.
I don't think we knew that last time.
No. Okay, so illusion is hearts. So I'm just checking the aligned and unaligned.
No, that's
ones.
fine.
So what's the aspect of the spell? Yeah, thanks for that, guys. There we go. Right.
This could also have a secondary effect depending on how well it
Clubs.
works.
Okay, we're on clubs.
Okay.
So the way this works is, Fish, do you have how long combat mounds are ahead of you? Because you found the duration. For every round that you gather power,
Okay.
you gain a card. And if it's a club, that's deemed to be the correct power. So you can use it at its face value, it's fine.
Okay.
If it's not a club, you can choose to either not use the card or use it for a value of 1. But if you use unaligned cards like that, that causes harmonics in the spell, and that can give me a whole host of entertaining things I can do to you.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's when spells can go very badly wrong. If,
This is where hindsight's a little bit beneficial. If I can kind of charge the spell, can't I?
Yeah, you need to gather
So I
the
could
power.
have started gathering it when the fight started, just in case. So would only technically be on 2 times.
Not really. I will let you gather for this round, but not really for the first.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
So no, you can. What's your perception?
Average.
Okay. So yeah, at the tail end of this round, then you can start gathering power. So you get a card from the
That's fair enough. So I
magic
could
deck,
charge it and wait and see what happens in the next round before I actually did anything,
and that adds to your sorcery skill.
which is good.
So get one card going to.
As for the length of combat rounds, I
Yeah.
quote, "Therefore I play fast and loose with the usual wargamer types of stuff like turns."
Thank you. Thank you so very much. No, that's fine,
The
actually.
overriding rule should be simple. Use common sense to decide the details, not tons of rules.
Okay.
So a combat round appears to last as long as you say it does.
Okie doke.
I think we're looking less a fixed round of combat and more
A round of actions.
an exchange of actions.
Yeah. No,
So
that's fine.
that first exchange between the Graf and myself, for example, we had down pretty much as he swung at me, I parried and
Yeah.
swung back. It
This
could
has now
just as easily
changed.
have been we fenced back and forth for a while, then he tries for an opening, I block it, and then riposte.
Yep.
Gee.
So, your round one, you start gathering power.
Okay.
You're looking for clubs.
Yeah, I know.
So the round which Fishy did his appeal to connections. At the end of that round, I have an action.
Yeah. So yes, Fiji has attempted the. This doesn't need to become an international incident. His response is, "It won't be. I was accosted. I defended myself."
Dash it all, I hadn't taken into account the fact that the bounder might lie.
So bless, and that's so Randolph. Okay, end of the round. What did you have in mind, Quenna?
Okay, so at this point, there will be a kind of a gathering of light atop the bull, and as their attentions
Sentences go.
and their attention will be drawn to the sudden appearance of a figure atop it, sitting cross-legged, just looking very pointedly at the Graf. And in German, you would do well to listen to the gentleman. We really do wish to avoid an incident, and I will also use this. This is a kindred powers attempt to basically bring him round to basically standing down.
Okie dokie.
So this is opposed by his courage.
Yep, which we know he's good at.
Yeah, which is going to be the problem here. We're both at great on this.
Yeah, but this can be entertaining, and that's
Yep.
hearts, isn't it?
It is clubs for me.
Oh, clubs. Okay, for courage.
For kindred power.
Oh no, yes. Sorry, yes. Courage is.
Yeah, my clubs
however.
versus his hearts, I believe. So let me just bring up the window. I am going to throw in this 8 of clubs and throw in half of this spades.
Okay.
And for good measure, throw in an extra 1.
You're not mucking around, are you?
Mm.
Okay. He's going to resist with half of that ace, which is 6, I believe.
So my total will be 8 plus 8, 16.
No,
Plus
aces are
3,
14,
9.
aren't they? 10, Jack, Queen, King.
16, 19. So I've got 20.
So he's got 7, so 7 plus 8 is not going to do it. 7 plus 8 is only going to be 15. So you have discombobulated him.
Yeah.
Is that actually you up on top, or is that an image of you?
No, it is actually me. And
Okay.
I'm also using my general sparkliness to highlight the Bavarian diplomatic corps
Okay.
insignia that I can. Well, actually, the Bavarian insignia that I do carry.
Okay. That's fine.
General Sparkliness is one of the lesser-known members of the Justice League.
Yes. I'm Jubilee in disguise.
Fireworks. Okay. So yes, you can indeed do that, and he falters slightly and looks around, backing up away from Randolph. Because suddenly this has gone from being a one-on-one.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like we can, as he does always, put down your sword. We can talk about this, sir.
I apologise.
Or rather, no, actually, not we can talk, because I don't necessarily want to say associate myself with him with Quigley just yet. It's like I'm sure that there is much to discuss, like sensible gentlemen. And I smile.
Oh, that's not
Disarming.
fair. Showing all the teeth. Right. At this point, he is still clearly wavering, but at this point, Carter is going to step out from his concealment. So, no weapons, because that'll draw a sword on him, and maybe you should listen to the gentleman. Meanwhile, Alexei.
Quick point of, does Carter speak German?
Carter, I believe, does. I have a feeling he does speak German, but I can check.
This might be an idea, because
No, it's all right. I have a
won't know
feeling
what
he
the
does.
gentleman is saying to know whether he should listen to him otherwise.
No, it's fine. I know he was considering it. Funny bloke. Probably just speaks variations on Australian. Sorry. That's horrible. Vices, virtues, style. Okay. He does not have.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't have much education.
He doesn't have much education. You've got the file open as well, haven't you?
I just found it, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
No, I was just scrolling up and down in did he take any specialisations? So yeah, probably he's not going to say anything. In that case, he will just emerge and trying to look threatening. At that point. So let's recall those. So he is now outnumbered. Is Graf Graf Friedrich.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to insist on that whole putting up your sword thing.
Now, with me gathering magic, can I do that while in motion?
You can, yes. You can indeed carry on.
So I could emerge with everyone else and still be ascertaining it. So there'd be like almost a glimmer in my hand or something.
Yeah, you're basically almost winding a skein of power around your hand at this stage.
So he'd be able to see that there is something.
Yeah, he can see you're doing something.
Yeah,
and he's not an idiot.
Exactly.
In that case, he is going to have an outbreak of common sense.
I find that's rare in most antagonists.
Yeah.
Oh, my antagonists all tend to. I have no compunction at all.
Same.
in having them step back and go, you know what? Don't have to fight until the bitter death. Not in my job description, mate.
This is a not fighting till the bitter end kind of game. Anyway,
It is.
even the combat mechanics are actually geared towards that, because nobody dies unless you actively specify you're going to kill them, which I rather like.
You can, however, drop dead of your wounds.
I'm sure you can drop dead of your wounds, probably.
There is the black spot rule.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's an optional rule. I noticed that, as far as that's concerned,
Is it?
you can drop dead of your wounds. As far as the game's concerned, that's a possibility if you really want to use it.
That was under the heading of "So you really want to kill your players,
Yes.
do you?"
That's exactly what I was about to quote.
Okay. He sheaths his sword. Apparently he sheaths it samurai style. Sorry about that. That's my automatic. Spot where I'm going. He sheaths his sword and takes his cane in his right hand.
I shall lower mine and take a couple of steps towards him. Not oppressively close, just no longer at extreme fencing distance, which is where we were at before.
Yeah.
Lurricane reclines back, leaning against the mane of the beast.
Fair enough.
I'm
Just
afraid that I'm
chilling
going
out.
to have
Or rather, the head bit.
I'm afraid that I'm going to have to ask you to explain yourself.
I wish I could do a German accent. I really can't.
I'm sure he has a good enough education not to have a German accent.
Fair enough. My apologies, sir. I mistook you for a common thug.
Really? And I'm not sure. Is Aloysius the Prussian for thug?
Aloysius is a friend I had arranged to meet. With all the hubbub here, I had wanted to check he was all right.
And this is where I need to ask you to explain yourself. Would you care to explain to me why you're having a clandestine meeting with a man currently wanted by the police and agents of the Crown within the area of their authority,
I'm afraid.
and in a building which is closed for the night?
I'm very much afraid I have no idea what crimes you're talking about.
Really? So, in that case, if you are an innocent party with no idea of this gentleman's nefarious past and the investigations currently hanging over his head, then you will have absolutely no compunctions on accompanying me outside to where the police are waiting and telling them where he can be found.
I believe we must be talking about somebody else.
Do you?
Yes.
And who are you talking about?
I'm talking about Aloysius Smith. He is a watchmaker.
Are you indeed?
I'm
And
certainly happy to speak with the police
what
if you
exactly
feel...
did this Mr. Smith? What was he doing here that you would be meeting him in this particular locale?
He has an interest in steamworks and in inventions, which he was here to view.
Really?
Yes. And you're going to be needing to make some perception checks.
I'm bad at perception. We know this to be the case.
Anyone who's listening.
Sure. Let's
This guy lies for a living. What are you going to do?
Yeah. What am I going to do? I'm going to assume he's lying at any given opportunity.
How much is an ace worth?
14, assuming I can count.
Do we have to guess the target number, or will you tell us?
It's an opposed. It's
Okay.
going to be an opposed for this one.
Oh.
You know what? I'm going to give it a go, because what the hell?
Oh. Do I need hearts for anything else?
I
No, I don't think so now. Cool.
I already know he's lying.
Yeah.
Can I just clarify, what benefit do I get from my character making a successful skill check to know he's lying, rather than simply assuming it?
Moral certainty.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Okay, so I've got an average at the moment. Average is 4.
Mine is 16.
I do have to step away for just a second. I will be right back.
Okay, not a problem.
So that brings me to 16, and that one will take me to 21.
Right.
Oh no, I can't do that second one because I've only got average, so I can't do
Yeah.
a second card. So just the 16. That's annoying.
Well,
Can I pick that up?
I am just basically trying to figure out what he is using to deceive you, because what I thought he was using to deceive you ain't gonna happen.
I mean, I guess it would be charisma?
It's got to be charisma. I really don't want it to be charisma. It needs not to be charisma. Because of all the cards he's got in his hand,
no,
he
he's
hasn't
got
got
no
a
heart.
single heart.
Or diamond.
Diamonds
I
he's
can
got.
empathise. I can empathise.
He's got-
Well, if diamonds he has got, or-
Yeah. Well, he has a diamond, so he can take half of that value. That's it.
you, assuming that the rule applies to GMs as much as it does to players, you can actually argue this one really, really easily.
All right.
Yes, because I'm trying to find the right page. There we go. This is a mental or intellectual activity. Surely, the attempt to pull the wool over somebody's eyes. That's a diamond, according to the suits.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd accept it if I was being argued with it.
As much as I don't want to give it to you.
You see, with the power being on my side, I am loath to really jig around too much with that, but it does work.
I mean,
Yeah,
in fact, charisma doesn't apply to what he's doing here, because charisma is all about emotional stuff, and he's not doing emotional stuff, really, is
No,
he?
he's appealing to our intelligence.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's attempting to cover his arse,
Yes.
which is more mental, more intellectual than emotional,
Yeah.
so it should be diamonds.
Yeah. There's nothing specifically for
But
it, basically. It is essentially charisma done as a
Charisma is all about...
intellectualization.
I mean, using charisma for this is effectively not saying, here is a convincing argument. It's saying, I'm a nice person, believe me.
Never do that again, Fish.
Which none of us are going to believe to start with, but yeah.
No, this is simply...
yeah, it's a diamonds check.
It's going to be a diamonds check, isn't it? Yeah. So... which will add to his good charisma, which is a 16.
Okay, so we equal. We all bounce off each other.
So you're not too sure now whether or not this is all some kind of horrible misunderstanding. Did somebody say 21?
No, I remembered I couldn't use a second card. I would have had 21 if I.
So it's 16 from him and 16 from both of us.
Yeah. So round of 16s here, please, Barkeep.
Technically, of course, Carter will get a go.
Oh yeah.
What did I miss?
Also, there is the question of who here is the passive participant. Is he attempting to convince us?
Yes.
In which case he lost. Because he's got
Because
to beat
defender
us.
wins.
Because we're defenders, yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Now, if we were attempting to see through his lies, he's won. If he's attempting to convince us, we've
No,
won.
he's attempting to convince you. Yeah.
clinging by my fingernails onto
Yeah.
the tightest.
Yeah, I wouldn't push it too hard, nor would I go too far with this. But yeah, for this, yeah. Your opinions are shaken because he does sound awfully plausible, but you're reasonably sure it's a hell of a coincidence. And you have shown everybody the letter. The message. You're not buying what he's selling.
What exactly did the letter say again?
The letter said, Aloysius, a new assignment. Meet me at 10 o'clock at the Five-Legged Bull. So
what did I miss in the persuasion side of things?
At this point, sir, Lurican goes from his seat atop the bull. Come now, Graf. This level of prevarication does not befit a man of your stature.
Is Alexi still gathering wool, or is he?
I am still gathering wool.
Right.
This is why I wanted a quick recap of what I missed in the discussion.
Okay. Basically, the Graf has attempted to convince them that he was here to meet his friend Aloysius, who was a watchmaker and a fan of technology, and that's why he was at this exhibition. And he's concerned for his well-being with all the shenanigans and goings-on and all.
Okay, and I take it he failed to convince us of that?
Only because Defender wins on a draw.
Okay, so I'm going to take another step forward and just pass a comment. How good is his intellect into knowing what magic would be between my hands?
Ooh.
None?
Well, no. Nobody's asked him what his sorcery skill is.
Oh.
Because even though he's not a mage, as far as anybody knows, .com, knowledge of sorcery is still a skill that somebody can take.
Yes. So, in that sense, how aware of what I'm doing is he? Is he likely to be able to ascertain what I'm casting? Or is he just going to know that I'm casting something?
I think that the best we can do here really is to ask, assuming he has an average in sorcery, what would he know? Because we don't know how poorly or well trained he is, but what would he know if he had average?
With an average, he would see that hands don't glow by themselves.
Okay.
I think even with poor sorcery, I would.
So,
yeah.
With me gathering, can I make that glow a little bit more intensified as I step forward?
It would make the whole spell harder, and to be honest, not really, without losing control of
With the state of play as it is, I'm not intending to unleash the spell.
Could he use the power that he's drawn to just make his hands glow instead?
Because my idea is having the fight stop. I don't want to let the guard down fully. I still want that ability to kind of stun him if I need to, if he decided to try anything. But I want to step forward, and I just want to make a little statement and make sure he's aware. Something along the lines of, I suggest you think carefully about your answers.
Okay. So basically, at the moment, you're looking at probably elemental temperature. No, possible. No, it's going to be shaping the element. It's going to be a low-grade end of shaping the element.
Manuscript of the shaping.
Yeah, manuscript of elemental shaping.
That is a specialisation.
Yeah. So it's going to be because you're changing. Yeah, because you're changing halfway through what you're doing.
Because I'm assuming at some point this spell's got to go somewhere. I can't just phase it out.
You can turn them off, but yeah, the power has got to go somewhere. Yeah.
So I'm trying to use what I've gathered to create a threatening punch. If need be, I can shock the pillar, so the power can go somewhere.
Yeah, that would be nice if stone conducted electricity.
That's why I said the pillar.
Yeah. So, what you can do is, in order to convert this spell, I am going to add 2 points of difficulty, because you're going to have to satisfy the original 8.
Yeah.
But for the conversion, I'm going to add another couple of points.
Okay.
And what that will do is allow you to basically summon a ball of sparks in the palm of your hand.
Okay.
Using elemental
That
shaping.
ball of sparks, if I was to release it at him, is that going to do anything? Or is it just an effect?
At the moment, it's just a visual effect. For another 2 points on top of that, bringing it to a total of 12 on release, I will allow it to do a small amount of damage.
Because I kind of still want to have a backup if he decides his odds are good, if that makes sense.
Right, well...
I just want to be precautionary.
Yeah, talking back and forth long enough, I will give you another 2 cards to see how this goes.
What does specialisation give me to start?
It gives you an 8
that
to start
gives you
with.
an 8, yeah.
So I'm starting with a base 8, but you've removed...
You're up to 12 if you want to do anything useful with it.
Right, okay.
10 will allow you to do something purely visual. It's not normally that difficult, but you have redirected the spell, so kind of improvising at this stage based on the rules.
And ostensibly, it's a fairly short space of time where actually
we're in.
But I'm assuming I don't have to lay a card yet, because I'm not releasing it.
You are going to have to lay down a card at some point.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy with the card I've got.
Yeah. You're not going with the cross harmonics then?
No, not at the moment.
Okay.
They might be cool for that yet, but...
Oh, I appear to have accidentally caused an earthquake. That's actually one of the results.
I'm quite fine with that.
Please don't cause an earthquake in the British Museum.
You forget, I've been in war. Earthquakes not nothing.
No, but they're expensive.
Not for me.
You say that.
I'm not paying for it.
Okay.
If that happens, I'm long gone. I'm not staying inside a building while an earthquake's going off. I'd rather be outside.
Okay, so you can feel the power building in your hands. If you want, you can convert this basically into a cricket ball-sized ball of sparks.
Could I convert that into both hands and just let one off into a pillar?
No.
Damn.
No, you cannot. Not without considerably upping the difficulty. You're basically down for a 1 effect, 1 target.
Okay.
Simple thing. If you start adding in extra complexity, then you can add to it, but you're already on 12.
What needed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine
already
with 12
needing
needed.
12.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's covered.
How long can you sit on power for?
That's what I was about to ask next.
Yeah. Wild spells. Right. Once the sufficient power is gathered, the spell must be cast immediately. The force of the gathered power is so great it cannot be held back. So, if you can hit the right amount of power, you pretty much got to do something with it.
Well, I can. Quite easily.
So, yeah.
What's the floor made of?
The floor is made of marble.
How conductive is marble?
It isn't. Pillars are made of alabaster.
So, if I was to let it off 4 foot from him on the floor...
They're going to need to replace some of the marble slabs. Potentially. Certainly there's going to be some interesting jobs for the cleaners.
Yeah, but I'm hoping by the time they come around, we're not going to be here.
There is also the possibility that a lightning ball could bounce off a non-conductive shiny surface. But it would take a real git of a GM to do that.
So
yeah, but you wouldn't have said that for no reason.
Hypotheticals.
Hypothetically, yeah.
That image I'm looking at, where the 2 pillars are, where in relation are we standing? Are we roughly where the 2 people are on the first set of steps?
Hang on. You are Yes.
So I can see that bench.
You can,
Can the Graf?
if he looks, yeah.
Where if I shoot something towards it, he's going to look.
Yeah.
What's the bench made of?
Cast iron.
Yeah, I'm not shooting that. It looked like it was a wooden type bench that people could actually sit on.
No, the Victorians were heavily into iron. Actually, wrought iron, not cast iron. I take it back.
Because whatever I shoot's going to take damage.
Iron less than other things. And you're not really going to be slagging
No, but
them.
iron's going to conduct. So it's going to amplify whatever it takes in.
You'll end up with 4 little scorch marks instead of 1 slightly bigger scorch mark.
That should be enough of an effect to convince him to make sure he's telling the truth, I hope.
Okay, so you're going to lob your cricket ball of electricity. Lay those cards.
And I need 12, yeah?
You do.
Is there anyone else in that area?
Well, no, there's an interesting question.
We're closed, there shouldn't be.
Yeah, but
But there
the
are
main
people
entrance
milling
is
around.
behind. Yeah, the main entrance is behind. You basically where somebody is standing directly inside the front door, looking up to take this picture, for want of a better term. Behind them, there are police. There are museum guards. There are the remains of quite a lot of posh people from a party
Haven't
who haven't
noticed
all
us
yet gone yet. It's only been like 2 minutes, if that.
If you let lightning off through that door, there could literally be the
Yeah,
remains
but-
of quite a lot of posh people.
They've not heard the fight?
Not yet. It literally is very, very fast. There's been
Okay.
a thwack, followed by a
Well, I've
thud.
got to charge this somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, you have.
Up the stairs, there's nobody though.
Not that you can see.
You're determined not to make it easy for me.
Something,
Sorry,
something
let me
use
look at
of
my-
magic.
Yes, sorry. Let me just look at my job description.
Yeah, I know.
PM, making life easy for the No, don't say that.
Could be worse. At least we're not playing paranoia.
Is there anything in our local area that's wooden?
It's wooden.
Try not to destroy too many priceless
What?
artifacts if you can avoid
There
it.
is a sign, an A-frame board with a inked poster on the front advertising Chekhov's exhibition.
Is that out of sight of the main entrance?
Oh well.
It's on the same level as you. So while it's not out of sight of the main entrance, it would take.
It's going to be less noticeable.
Yes.
And wood
The
doesn't conduct.
exhibition's over now. They won't need that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No, wood.
So
doesn't
that's what I'm going to aim
conduct.
for then.
Wood doesn't
Okay.
conduct. The paper will probably scorch.
Don't tell him.
Scorched paper's fine.
Yeah,
no one's going to
exactly.
be reading it after today anyway.
Exactly. It's like touch paper, which could be an effect that you'd want to go for.
Yeah,
Right.
so I'm not
okay.
going to cause any damage to anything worth anything. I'm not going to hopefully attract any attention I don't need.
Yep.
And it should give him enough of a scare to make sure he's telling the truth.
Okay.
Just gonna light the blue touch paper.
And you want a 12.
Yes.
And I start on 8.
Yes. Right, there you go. And therefore I can recall all the other cards. So that's fine. So yes, your ball flies from your hand, strikes the A-frame, skitters around it, grounding itself largely out through the air and into the floor slightly. But the paper itself, okay.
It's going to go up in flames.
Let's go with 1 card to me. If this is red, it goes up in flames. If it's black, it isn't. Okay? And it's black, so it doesn't. Right.
Well done.
But it does scorch along.
The card system was
Side of it.
perfect there, in fact, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I've got nice red flames, black scorch marks.
I was having Deadlands flashbacks, though. If I pull a red joker, then you've set fire to the
So
board,
obviously I've done that.
paper, the hall, 3,000 years of history,
And I said, see you when you're finished.
Yeah, and 6 urchins who happen to be passing by outside. Right. So there's Vap.
Is this distracting at all, by any chance? I suspect it might be.
He does a what?
I was wondering about
Yeah.
more for us, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm just worried about this guy making a runner while I'm going, what was that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think by this point we're all in sort of all aware of each other's presence and what was going on.
Yes, you can see the scruffy oik, who was obviously let in because I don't know, they're letting anybody in these days, has just let rip and sparked one of the signs.
That's just caused me to become a lot more interested than I was.
So those 2 guards who were killed.
Yeah, by lightning, wasn't it? Yes.
Yeah, Lyricane like tilts because this.
Now, who's asking about the 2 guards? Was that Graf asking?
No, that was an out of character concept.
Okay.
Yes, thank God.
Okay.
Yep.
It's the first time you've actually let magic off around us, isn't it?
Invisible view, yes.
So we have noticed. Yeah, he made it rain, but we didn't know he did it.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, Lyricane basically tilts his head and looks at you rather interested.
Which I assumed would.
The Graf looks at you, places one hand dramatically on his chest. My God. I'm sorry. What kind of place have I wandered into here? And is backing away.
Yes, that's not really going to play. It's it's a nice try, but you haven't got the cards for it, old boy. Let's
Wonderful insult.
Let's just look at the facts here for a moment, shall we? By your own admission, you came here to meet someone called Aloysius, who you claim is a watchmaker. Here to presumably look at Chekhov's inventions. You mentioned inventions.
Yes.
And then you came along because you were concerned for his welfare as a result of the was it shenanigans? Was that the word you used?
Just out of curiosity.
Yes. It's a word I have heard used commonly amongst you.
So there are a
English.
couple of inconsistencies that I'd sort of like to address here. Firstly, if you weren't here, how did you know about the shenanigans in order to know that you needed to come here and see whether Aloysius was okay? Secondly, was the note from you? That, by the way, I'm looking at him very closely when saying that. I want to see if he gives anything away, which I don't expect him to. He's a great spy. But kind of hoping he might give something away that we know about the note.
Right. Let's give him a social graces check. Let's not give him a social graces check. Let's give him something else.
I'm going to need to percept here, aren't I? Which
You are on.
say that was diamonds, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm all right with that. I don't. Mind
You are unfortunately on your own since I have expended
Yeah.
anything useful.
Funny you should say that. So
Let's see if
that's
this
an
chap here
8.
can help me.
Oh, for God's sake, Fish! What did I ever do to you?
You dealt me a king of diamonds. That's what you did to me.
Right. Well, you can damn well deal yourself a card now. Right. You should have the permission to do so.
Yeah, I've been doing it for myself.
Yeah. Yes, I thought I wasn't having to do it for you. Okay. He flinches.
Right.
He's sufficiently rattled, and with those bloody cards he is, that you've got him slightly on the back foot.
Thirdly, this friend of yours, Aloysius, we're going to need to know a lot more about him. He is a watchmaker, you say, so presumably he has a shop. You can direct us to his place of business and explain to us exactly why he may have an, I believe the word was, assignment. that required him to be here in the museum this evening. Not simply visiting because of an interest in invention.
Oh, for God's sake. He straightens up and brushes himself down, flinching slightly as the bruise on his hand is causing him trouble. I don't see why I have any need to answer to you.
Ah, so we've fallen back on obstreperousness.
If that is what you want to call it.
Oh, I do. Look, I have no interest in you. You can
Really?
toddle off, play your games, go back to Prussia, whatever you want to do. I really don't care. The only thing that I'm interested in, Freddy, is Aloysius.
He flinches notably when you use the insulting diminutive of his name. He's not happy about that.
Good thing about social graces is not only does it tell you how you should behave, but it also tells you how you shouldn't.
This is not a situation that we need to be in. How do we make it go away? He's Russian there.
Yeah.
Yeah, big crossover.
You tell
with
me
Russia.
what I want to know.
You have a moment.
I have
Nothing.
as many moments as you need.
So, ask your question. Because if you do not ask quickly, I will yell for help, and then your British police will come running in.
Yes, but I've already spoken to them once today. And they know that my companions and I are assisting their inquiries into the disappearance of Chekhov. So when they come running in, they will find not a German aristocrat under assault from unknown thugs, but a member of the British aristocracy who has already expressed an interest, holding hostage, or captive would be an even better word, someone who should not be in the museum at this time of night after it is closed. So that's not really going to help you, is it?
And also potentially
Aloysius
someone who...
Charles Quigley is not a man to be trusted. He is not a man with whom you should have any dealings. You will tell me where I can find him, and then I will let you go. Otherwise, things get difficult between us.
There is also the matter of your presence in this country.
I am here visiting friends.
I just smile. Of interest to many parties.
He looks genuinely disgruntled. Not angry per se, just miffed.
Obviously, I don't have to say anything further if you are helpful to the line of questioning.
He indicates that you should step towards the shadows. Please, sir, this is perhaps not business for such an open forum. At least pretend to be a little covert.
I dim my sparkles.
Thank you for my favourite phrase so far this evening.
Yeah, and I will basically glide down, but I am remaining. I am
You're not
remaining
stupid.
ethereal. Yes.
Fair enough. Yeah, you're not getting me. Okay. Carter pipes up. I'll make sure no one takes any interest in this. And heads off towards the front door.
Excellent.
Remarkably astute, that gentleman.
Yes. We wouldn't want anybody turning up that might want to arrest Freddy here before he's told us what we want to know.
I will tell you what you want to know, and then I will leave. Unmolested.
Good. Where can I find Aloysius, and why were you to meet him here?
I have no idea. And he was invited. He was on the list of invites.
You're really
Invitations.
not doing a very good job on this whole business. You seem to have the letter of the agreement down okay, but the spirit of it is somewhat lacking, isn't it? Why were you to meet him here? Not why were you to meet him here. Why were you to meet him here?
Apologies, my language is lacking in your tongue.
Yes, possibly. Though I doubt it.
I was to meet him here for private reasons.
Yes, an assignment. I'm fascinated.
He swears under his breath, and those of you who can understand German are fairly sure you can't do that without at least 3 goats. It's not, however, directed at anyone here.
I don't know whether you want me to throw a card here. Randolph has been steadfastly refusing to acknowledge that he understands the German being spoken throughout.
If you want to cover it, then yes.
Yeah. What would that be on?
That is going to
slightly awkward one.
probably be a... Oh, God. I think it's going to be a social graces.
So, yeah, that's what I thought you were going to say.
Sorry.
Is there a
social graces?
What does social graces
I just don't have the right cards.
That's spades.
Social graces.
Yeah.
I mean, could you throw it off because it's a knowledge of a language? You could use diamonds instead.
That doesn't really help.
Performance
Yeah.
would also count.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have performance.
Well, you've got it at average, same as everyone else.
Social graces I've got are good. So social graces is the thing that I want to use.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to throw in a 10 of clubs and halve it. However.
Okay.
So that's good plus 5, 11?
11. Yeah, that'll do it.
If I'm up against his perception, that's never going to be good enough because his perception starts at about 120.
Starts at 8.
Yeah.
And he doesn't actually have the cards for it at the moment.
And
So-
it's perfectly fine if I'm the only one that he
Yeah.
suspects of being able to speak German.
Yeah, actually, he has a joker, but he's not putting that in because he may need
He
that.
may need it.
He may need it for a moonlight flit across the rooftops if nothing else.
He's sort of done what I was hoping that he would do, which is why I didn't say anything during the conversation in German earlier on. Because I was hoping he might say something under his breath in German, thinking I wouldn't understand it.
Yeah.
This just isn't as useful as I was hoping.
No. He has, since he's started cooperating, his accent has got markedly thicker. It's not what it started as. So, I was here to meet Aloysius Quigley.
Yes.
A noble of your realm.
A wanted criminal.
I did not know. In order that he escort a friend across the borders.
Which borders, precisely? This is an island.
Yes. Well, ultimately, several. But initially, it's simply to France.
I see. So, you contacted by your own understanding, since
Mm-hmm.
you claim not to know that he is wanted for treason, a
I'm
member of the
shocked, I
British
tell you.
peerage
Mm.
to commission him for the task of ferrying someone across the channel to France. That doesn't sound at all unreasonable to you?
Oh, not ferrying anyone. He was merely to accompany someone not used to your trains. To it's um, to simply facilitate. I had no idea he was wanted for treason.
So the person he was escorting, I'm assuming, was going through all the legal channels.
Oh, absolutely. I simply know that.
So there'd be a record of whoever it was, or tickets for whoever it was.
Well, Aloysius was to buy the tickets.
I'm sure this person has a name. I suspect I may even know what it is.
Well, it's his. He's not a. He is not a British subject, so
Should he be Prussian by any chance? I mean,
by
you're
birth.
Prussian, it would make sense.
Yes, by birth. Yes.
Yes.
He's been on a little holiday, and I understood he wished to return home, but the journey alone is difficult, and he has little familiarity with the trains and the strange British ways.
Like, Lurricane actually chuckles low at this.
He throws you a brief poisonous glance.
The British train system is entirely arcane, I do agree.
Absolutely.
I always considered it was some sort of an occult mystery, I must admit.
Exactly. So, having told you this, I assume I am free to go?
I have one more question.
Really?
Yes. You mentioned shenanigans earlier.
It's,
What do you refer?
It's an English word I have heard used.
Yes.
It means much running around and.
But what was the cause of
Now,
this
you
running
did
around?
yes, you did the same thing there you did earlier on. You focused on the word. We're not asking for a definition of shenanigans. We want to know what shenanigans you were referring to. It's a different question.
Well, I understand that there have been 2 men found dead. And there is much chaos.
But you wouldn't know anything about that.
No. Why would I?
Just out of curiosity,
Mm,
going back to when we found the bodies,
yeah.
didn't the police cordon off that area?
They did.
So no one else actually see them?
No, the police detectives did turn up and start asking people, did you do it? Did you
Yes,
see
word
the...
will
Yeah.
have got out.
Word did get out, but not initially.
I have one more question for you.
Really, for time is late.
Yes, I'm sure. You were here to meet Aloysius and to send him to escort your friend across the channel.
Yes.
Where was he to meet him?
Well, this is where it is a little awkward. He was supposed to meet him here.
But he's not here.
At this event. Not here. And you accuse me of being too precise with language. So, I can go now, yes?
Where is he?
I told you I don't know where this Aloysius is.
Not Aloysius.
In all honesty, I do not know.
But you have an idea.
No.
So, you don't know where Aloysius is? and you don't know where the man Aloysius was meant to meet is, and you never met Aloysius to tell him that he had to meet the other man. So what we have here are just 3 random people wandering around London with no connection apart from this note, no plan, and nothing actually happening. I'm sorry, that was another question, wasn't it? I said I only had one more.
If you must know, and suddenly the accent has
Yeah.
gone. If you must know, Aloysius was due to escort Herr Chekhov to France. He was supposed to make contact here.
Yes. But he was supposed to pick up the assignment here,
Yes.
which means he didn't know about it.
No.
Which means you know where Chekhov is.
Is not where he is supposed to be.
Did Chekhov ask to come home? Is that why you were trying to arrange this?
Chekhov is misguided. He probably misses his home a great deal.
So you were to abduct him.
Chekhov.
His home or his family, who I'm not sure, who I'm no doubt you have under
Protection,
Actually,
shall we say.
I don't actually finish the sentence.
So far as I know, Chekhov has no family.
So out of curiosity, where was Chekhov supposed to have been taken before leaving the country for departure?
He was supposed to go straight from here to the station. He was supposed to go from here to King's Cross. He seems genuinely peeved.
Yes. Your plans are all going awry, aren't they?
Well, I had assumed that agents of the Crown had waylaid him. If agents of the Crown have not waylaid him, you are wasting yours and my time.
Yes, there's a lot of time being wasted here today. By a lot of people. Not the least of them. Herr Chekhov.
Well, we have lost him. You have lost him. And
What
he
makes you
mutters,
think we have lost him?
because you clearly do not know where he is any more than I do.
But what makes you think we had him?
Because somebody has him. And I had assumed that since it was your country, that agents of the British Crown might know where such a person might be. And
The
then
two
he
dead
mutters
men.
something under his breath, which is quite faint, and is going to require quite a tricky perception check from anyone.
In which language?
In German.
Yeah, no good to me.
Yeah, let's have a look. Do I have...
You chrono magistrate.
Captain Auditory.
You see, I have no red cards.
Oopsie.
Let me think.
I can give it a go.
Let me just wonder.
Average plus half a king is the best I can do. What, 9?
King and a half, half
What
king
is-
and a king.
What is Spade supposed to cover?
Spades covers
Is generally social
physical-
stuff.
yes, sorry, yes,
It's
social.
social. Right.
Yes, social and status related activities.
Okay. Given... Can I attempt to use Spades on the grounds of he obviously knows he's obviously confounded that he's lost track of where Chekhov is. He's also got the impression, rightly, that we don't know where Chekhov is.
Yep.
So by kind of like inferring that and around the kind of people that he knows and, you know, the connections kind of situation,
Okay.
can I use Spades for my perception to get a like almost social cue as opposed to actually hearing it exactly, as in infer what he might be saying at this point rather than what he actually is saying.
Okay. Given what he's actually saying, that kind of works. So yes, I will let you have that.
Cool. So that's perception plus spades. I will throw a queen of spades in for that. So that's good plus 11.
Oh, blimey. Okay.
17.
17, yeah, okay. Yep, that will do it.
It beats my 9.
Actually, let's throw this on top and make sure. So that's a 21.
Oh, blimey.
Yeah, I might as well cycle through cards.
Yeah, okay.
I want some red.
Yeah, okay. So, basically, yes. What you hear, tuning your eardrums into his little rant, which he wouldn't have done had he not been a bit pissed off. So, well done for annoying him.
Yeah.
If there's one thing we can do, it's annoy people.
Yes.
By hook or by crook,
Yes.
by smarm or by charm.
What he actually says is, and the stupid little weasel has lost me the plans. You're not 100% certain who he's referring to, but you're fairly sure that if Aloysius bumps into him in a dark alley, it will not go well for a while.
Do you mean Friedrich?
No.
Oh?
If Aloysius bumps into Friedrich in the dark alley.
So that was, and the stupid little weasel has lost me the plans. So.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So, I believe our business is concluded.
Just humour me. You said about dead bodies being discovered. Can you tell me more about that?
2 men are dead. Everybody knows this.
That's all you know. You know nothing more about where or when or how.
Well, I know where. There was a large police cordon.
Were they your men?
No.
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 That was a long pause.
He's almost gritting his teeth now.
Seems to me that if I were going to do something as dastardly as abducting a fellow and spiriting him away to Prussia, what I'd probably try to do is replace his bodyguards with guards of my own, so that he could be abducted by the very people supposed to protect him. Hence the question.
The dead men were not mine.
I believe you.
If you have nothing more to tell me, then I shall simply declare that we have both lost, and I will be on my way.
Much though it pains me to let you go, given how deeply you're clearly involved with everything going on here tonight, I am a man of my word, and that was the agreement.
He does actually click his heels together. Little bow. And then strides off into the shadows.
Until next time, Herr Graf.
Or not.
Did you actually explain who Aloysius was to you? To us, sir?
Nope.
Okay.
Actually, I did when I first got the note. I believe I did say, or did I? Did I say that it was my brother, or did I just say that there was?
I think you said they'd got the wrong Quigley.
Yes.
Yes, I think I may have said they'd got the wrong Quigley. Yeah,
Yes.
it's an implication at least.
So I turned to Sir Randolph. Sir Randolph, out of interest, what relationship is this Aloysius to yourself?
By birth, he is my elder brother. Technically, I suppose he's still a member of the family. He hasn't actually been completely disowned, merely removed from the line of succession. Or inheritance, rather. Wrong word.
I do not fancy his chances should he ever actually encounter the Graf again. I suspect your brother has screwed up. I suspect your brother has committed a rather grave error on his safety by not being here and not getting the Graf what he wanted.
Aloysius can look after himself. He's very good at making enemies. The last time he made an enemy of the crown. This time he appears to have made an enemy of what I suspect to be one of the people he was involved with while making an enemy of the crown. Eventually he will run out of countries that he hasn't made an enemy of, but until then, I think he'll probably be okay.
Did the Graf acknowledge whether it was him that gave the note or not?
He flinched when the note was mentioned.
Hmm.
Oh, woe is me. But as in a micro expression.
Yeah. He didn't deny that he was meeting Aloysius here. So
Because
the note was presumably passed by somebody else, but on behalf.
Probably one of the waiters.
which means that whoever passed the note is not going to be in Frederick's good book because they got the wrong person. Having known Aloysius, they know who to look for.
And Sir Randolph didn't spot Aloysius here at all.
I didn't see him, did I?
No, you did not see him in any way, shape or form here tonight.
So as far as we know, he was never here.
I'm guessing that he was not necessarily ever in the building, but he probably came close enough to see Randolph and decided not to appear. That's my guess.
Sir not appearing in this plot.
Yes, he was due to be here until he realised that his pesky younger brother, who dobbed him into the cops, was hanging around.
And obviously you would be very obvious.
Fish, would you like to take one improvement point, please?
I would love to take one improvement point. I'd rather take more. But
You have broken the link between a primary Prussian agent and your brother.
Yay! So that's a part of my long-term goal, isn't it? That is a step towards dealing with that.
Yes.
Lovely.
As another Sir Randolph, so as another rather interesting spoke to this wheel, Aloysius was supposed to, I am presuming Aloysius was supposed to have obtained a set of plans for the Graf. Plans which I strongly suspect are, for one, rather uncomfortable looking cannon.
Yeah, would not surprise me in the least.
Oh gosh.
You alright there?
No, even through my headphones I can suddenly hear like a hailstorm outside.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the rain is really coming down.
Oh boy.
What a pleasant evening to be in role-playing.
Somewhere tropical when I wasn't looking.
Yeah.
Yes, actually, I think what I'm going to do is call a comfort break there because I can hear rain outside of
front door.
my front door is wide open.
Okay.
So
Back in a moment.
Have a think, and I'll get back to you in a few minutes.
In which case, I will also now take the opportunity while we're not. It's not going to interrupt any role playing to say hello, Gigas Monkey. Long time no see.
Hello,
Hopefully,
Gigas.
will be appearing in the Hint Plays channel in a moment because I've told him that that's where we are. You see,
I'll say hello.
My while streaming on Hint Fishy as well because that's two people that have popped in so far.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to sort the multi-link out tonight. So I do apologise.
So yes, Gigas, and indeed Mazza, because I can't remember whether you've caught an episode of this before. This is Castle Falkenstein, which is a steampunk alternate reality role-playing game from Artel Saurian Games. It takes place in the continent of New Europa, which is Europe, but not quite as we know it. There are fairy, such as Luakane. He is one of the Fae. There are dragons. We don't have a dragon. But we do have a sorcerer, Alexei, played by Neo. And I'm playing a Quigley because I have this bad habit of creating annoying characters from the Quigley family, and this seemed a perfect opportunity to play one of them. So we are investigating the disappearance of a man, a painter and inventor named Chekhov, who was putting on an exhibition here at the British Museum. And during this exhibition, he and his 2 bodyguards went outside. There was a loud crack, identified by some people who have heard such things before as lightning. Lightning where it shouldn't have been, from a cloudless sky. And when anybody got outside, Chekhov was missing and the 2 guards were dead. So that then led us on to the encounter that you have possibly just seen the tail end of with a Prussian agent, Graf Friedrich Klein,
Hello.
who was involved in something to do with all of this.
Yes.
And was also involved with my elder brother, or Randolph Quigley's elder brother, who is a dastardly traitor, who is rather wanted because he was plotting against the crown until Randolph didn't turn him in so much as tell people about it.
A cad and a bounder of the highest order.
Aloysius got away, so now that is my character's goal in life, really. One of his goals, anyway, his main one, is to find and deal with Aloysius. I like the game system. You set 3 goals during character creation. You have a social goal, a professional goal, and a romantic goal. I kind of got all 3 of mine from Aloysius.
That's cheating.
Because his social goal is to ensure that society entirely forgets the name Aloysius Charles Quigley.
Mm-hmm.
His professional goal is to make a name for himself before he takes on the mantle of Viscount Capelvale, which he wasn't originally going to have. That was Aloysius was going to become Viscount. So now suddenly he's got a title looming when something happens to Daddy. And as a result, he needs to make a name for himself so that to prove that he's worthy of it before it turns up.
Mm-hmm.
And his romantic goal actually less connected to Aloysius, except that when he moved up in the world after dealing with Aloysius, he suddenly found that all of the women he knew were no longer moving in the right circles, and all of the women in the right circles don't like him because they all liked Aloysius. So his romantic goal is to find a wife who will make Mummy both happy and proud.
Oh, bless.
Subtitle: A Suitable Woman.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely, indeed.
Mummy does feature in his affiliations, by the way. His alliances. He's allied to the Crown and the New Compact, but the third thing third person he's allied with is Lady Christina Quigley. Not allied with Father, he's allied with Mummy. Just seemed right for him.
So, you are hiding in the shadows next to one of the stone lions at the base of the stairs in the entrance hall of the British Museum, while the forces of British law and order attempt to ascertain who exactly fried a couple of security guards. And yes, by this time, who stabbed a Fae.
Has anyone actually told Randolph about the Fae? I can't remember.
Randolph
Does he
wasn't
know
there, so
that-
no, nobody's told Randolph about
That's what I thought.
In which case, yeah. Did we have no? Because we came back and met you at the appointed time rather than.
Yeah,
So,
no, I think we went straight into the.
Everybody
into
else
the-
knows.
Yeah. So we fill Quigley. Oh gosh, yeah. So we fill Sir Randolph in on what we found in the other gallery,
Okay.
and our suspicions as to who might like the name and.
And at that point, I suggest we take our leave from this place.
Yes.
I don't think anything more is
more
to be found inside.
No.
This place has is sorely lacking in further entertainment.
It's a polite way of putting it.
As
So-
we leave, I would like
At least we did
to...
get one important piece of information. We did ascertain that the Prussians haven't got Chekhov.
Yes.
And they were expecting to.
Yes. And that was, by the way, said in character.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Wasn't just me saying it. That was Randolph pointing this out.
Obviously,
You were saying-
Chekhov has his own agenda here. That
Yes.
Or there's a third party at play.
I suspect there's at least 2 other parties at play here.
Hong Kong Phooey.
I also wonder. I now strongly suspect that he engineered the situation to pit British forces against Prussian forces, and keep yourselves tied up in knots, so that
Which
he can
hasn't entirely been successful, has it?
but not entirely unsuccessful.
Because
But I can see your point. Yes, if the Prussians assumed that the British had him, and the British assumed that the Prussians had him, that would leave
But-
neither side actually looking for him.
But we haven't actually let the forces of the Crown, we were assumed to be
Yes.
by Frederick.
No, but he is under the impression that we are forces of the Crown, and I see
So
no
he
reason
will
to
go
disagree.
back and inform his parties that we don't have them.
I
Well,
see no reason to disabuse.
But the
I will obviously dash off a
Actual-
note to Lord Fullenham and let him know what we've discussed.
so you're going to... Okay, I was going to say, obviously, we're not members of the Crown, so to speak, or most of us are not.
A quick
Therefore, they
reminder.
don't...
A quick reminder, because it has been 3 weeks. Lord Fullenham, actually longer than that. Lord Fullenham is a member of the Crown forces.
Yeah.
He is a known sympathiser to the Crown, as distinct to the Steam Lords.
Well, the Dairy Milk. I bought that from Mum. You gave him Maltesers instead, didn't you?
Yeah,
And-
he was representing the Crown with regards to arranging all of this through. I've forgotten their name.
So until
Harrison's.
until Randolph
Lady
actually talked
Harrison.
to him, the Crown are not aware that the Prussians don't have him.
No, at the moment we're the only ones who know that the Prussians did.
Do we want to leave it that way? So that we're not
Right,
the only
I'm
ones
well
looking
prepared.
for him.
We're not like I doubt Alexei or Lurricane have the pull to stop Randolph actually informing.
I'm just wondering if it will be beneficial to
certainly-
have another party looking for them as well as us.
Yes, I'm certainly not going to stop investigating, but I will inform Fullenham as to what we've discovered. They may not believe us.
The actual phrase
They
used
may
from
continue.
the actual phrase used, and this is just a reminder,
Yeah.
from Adelaide Harrison to Randolph, was that Lord Fullenham was dealing with matters for the Crown.
Yes.
What matters these were, she
Were not
became quite
disclosed.
reticent even about.
With you,
I didn't really push her too hard for information.
You didn't,
That's
no,
normal.
because then the police turned up.
Her information is one thing, but the
normal
Crown
dairy
information, I wouldn't want to tread on any toes
that's
there.
normal dairy milk. Yeah. Sorry.
It's all right.
What was I going to say? Lost my train of thought there.
Sorry about that.
No, it's quite all right. There is also the matter of, as a interested other party, the dwarves.
Yeah.
They obviously knew that whatever these, what we might assume to be the plans for the cannon, and from what we overheard, don't wish them to fall into the wrong hands either.
Right.
And this no longer appears to be a simple matter of necessarily selling to the highest bidder.
I'm going to make my next...
And by we, I'm using the royal we here because I don't think Randolph has any clue whatsoever. maybe the only people who have any suspicion that the plans might be concealed in that painting, assuming that that's what we're thinking.
I suspect that they're not necessarily in the painting. He wouldn't have left the painting.
But the painting did look odd,
The painting
if I remember rightly.
Something about, and it had iron in it for some reason.
The painting was distinctly odd, but I cannot investigate it.
The painting indeed had cold iron about it. It wasn't just iron. It was a small amount, but it was cold iron.
So
and I've got a feeling the best person to investigate that isn't here this week.
At the moment, he's outside having a chat with the police.
Yeah. With all this going on, my next point of call is, if you have to inform the members of the Crown, feel free, but please do me a favour. I know you have no reason to trust or believe me, but leave me out of the conversation.
I will pass on information strictly about Chekhov and the connection to Aloysius via Graf Klein. I see no reason to mention any of you unless there's something that you particularly want to be noted for.
No, that's fine.
No.
Okay.
If you feel you've done something that the authorities,
I haven't, but
I'm happy to let them know. But otherwise, I
haven't done anything wrong, but I did notice Luricane's little look when I let loose my sparks.
You are an inheritor of. You're an inheritor of bestowed gifts, Mr.
Yes.
Alexei. That is always fascinating to us.
Yes, I also know the position it then put me in.
What's particularly fascinating to me on that front is the fact that, based on our current understanding, it seems that Chekhov hired somebody to generate, if not the actual attack we initially thought it was, to fake the attack on his guards. Now, if that person was a sorcerer, maybe you would be the best person to try and get us a lead on Chekhov through him. Mm-hmm. If we can find the sorcerer, we may be able to get. He may have some means of getting in touch with Chekhov. He may be expecting
possibility.
To be paid.
I did burn those bridges a long while ago, though. My connections are not as great as they used to be.
Okay. Can I assume that you don't wish to continue having this conversation hiding behind a giant stone?
I was assuming...
No, this was my next point. After I'd mentioned about not being mentioned, I was going to say, I don't know about you two, but after Luricane pointed out a rope on the fence, I'd like to go and take a look.
What time is it now?
It's about 10:30.
I feel that I must repair back to the embassy. This has been an eventful evening, and I think some time to reflect on our dealings here would do us all a world of good. Should you find anything out in your further investigations, Mr. Alexei, I hand you a card with my details on, like, where I'm staying at the embassy. I hand one to Sir Randolph as well. This is my room
I can't remember whether I've already given you one of mine. If I haven't, then I will do so now.
This is my room at the embassy where you can find me. I am intrigued on a personal level here, more so than I gesture to my badges would indicate. I would like to see where this goes. Perhaps we shall arrange to meet on the morrow.
That sounds like an excellent idea.
Right.
Possible.
Do you have a particular coffee house that you favour?
The answer is probably yes. Maybe
Coffee
a
house,
cafe
no.
rather than
Pub,
a
maybe.
Coffee house. I don't know that he's a coffee house sort of person, but
Pub
there
would be
may well
better.
be a
Well,
cafe and tea shop somewhere.
yeah,
that
as a catch-all
sees
for that
Randolph.
kind of.
Yeah.
You're going to go to a vegan restaurant.
So yes, we could perhaps meet at Mrs. Miggins's. So I could resist that.
Tate's, given the year, Tate's should probably
Yeah, it
be in
does.
existence by this point.
That's a
It
good
does,
point.
because that's been
yeah.
there since about the 1700s.
Yeah,
So yeah,
Yeah.
why not?
Yes.
and at this point, Tate's will
Very
probably
nice.
be dealing in tea as well as coffee. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So tea and coffee are available. So yes, it's always wonderful when you realise that coffee shops existed
Way before tea
way
houses.
back in before
Yeah.
tea houses. Despite the British addiction to tea, which of course
In
that
this-
started later.
In this world, is gin? I mean, have we had the? No, because we're way past that. Sorry, Victoria is actually on the throne, isn't
Yep.
she? Okay, so no, we're way past all of that. Yeah.
Victoria was on the throne in mourning for Albert.
Yeah.
Which is why there is something of a power vacuum, and it's all a little bit wonky in Britain.
That's an interesting question, actually. Yes, in this setting is Victoria Empress of India? Because I may not be drinking tea.
Victoria is indeed Empress of India. The East India Company did not have things as far
not
all
have
their
things as
own way as they did in the
Yes.
real world.
So potentially a little bit more on equal standing with the Shahs and the Rajas.
Yes, there was rather more bloodshed initially, but rather less long-term persecution, especially once the various kingdoms were able to summon up their own personal mages, sorcerers.
Probably ended up with an arrangement far more how Governor Wellesley, rather than the man he replaced, wanted India to be. The man who would later be the Duke of Wellington first went to India. His brother was made Governor General, and he started trying to clean up the East India Company. Wasn't particularly effective at it because the East India Company was already extremely powerful by this point. But when he moved over there, that was the Crown took a more direct interest as opposed to letting the East India Company ride roughshod over everything, and caused quite a lot of waves and made quite a lot of enemies in the process with the aid of his younger brother, who at that point was only a colonel. Fascinating stuff. I'm going to have to find a proper biography of the Wellesley.
So
I'm enjoying the fictionalized account. I just want to know what really happened.
back to parting ways, so to speak.
Okay.
How easy is it going to be for me to walk out the front door without too many questions?
If you all walk out together, fairly easily. And Carter can indeed join you on the way out.
Okay.
And will participate in the exchange of business cards.
Well, if everyone else is happy with that, that would be my next port of call.
Yeah. Because if nothing else, so far, Lurricane has at least once claimed you as part of his staff.
Yeah. So I assume we make our way outside.
So yeah, once you step outside, Carter will be in intense conversation, which will get even more intense and slightly angled away from the door, with the policeman guarding the entrance, who's largely interested in not letting anybody in.
Yeah.
Or anybody out who's fleeing covered in blood, scorch marks, and wearing a t-shirt saying, "I did it and I'm happy he's dead."
I
same old person.
assume with my spell there's no scorch marks on my sleeve.
No, not on your
That's
sleeve,
all right,
no.
No, all the scorch marks are at the other end.
Yeah, that can stay there.
Yep. So that's fine. But, basically, Carter will distract the policemen so you guys can walk out. And once you're out, there are still enough people milling around, calling for coaches, calling for cabs, and generally doing the whole... Well, it was a lovely evening up until the dead people.
So
I didn't get a proper look at anything. It was just absolutely terrible.
once we're outside, I will turn to Lurricane and Just refresh my memory as to which side of the museum you saw that rope.
That was
Because you'd seen the rope in the gutter, and you'd also seen one on the fence, hadn't you?
Yes. So I give
side
him.
on-
So I give him the direction of the rope and the street onto which it would lead, which would be Little Museum Street.
Yes. That's what we established last time, yeah. Because
Yeah.
it was away from the frontage.
And with that, I will bid. I'm assuming Lyra Kane's going back to the embassy.
Yeah.
So I will bid him a good night, and I will say to Randolph, "You're more than welcome to join me if you wish, unless you have other plans."
I think I really ought to put pen to paper to get this information to Lord Fullenham while it's still fresh in my mind. However, you can let us know what you find tomorrow.
I will.
Right, okay. I am inclined to say we've been going like 2.5 hours. This looks like a natural break to me.
It does, yeah.
Because Carter will probably want to go with Alexa.
Yeah, this is what I'm thinking. I don't want to get too far into the investigative
No, that's
stuff
fine.
without Knight around.
Just
But that
before
works
we
for me.
end, there's one last thing I want to do, Randolph wants to do when he gets home,
Okay.
because I've got some really good cards and I want to use them.
Okay, go for
it. Obviously, he's going to write a letter to Fullenham explaining what has happened here, and essentially not just offer his assistance, but to some extent put the case for why he should be involved in the investigation.
Okay.
Which I'm reasoning is kind of a mix of social graces and education. The education for actually writing it, the social graces for being the right man in the right place with the right connections to be able to do this, especially with Aloysius involved.
Yeah.
What I'm arguing for here is I want to be able to use spades for whichever of those skills you say it should be on.
I am inclined to say it's primarily going to be social graces.
Excellent. In that case, I'll put that 3 of spades in there, and I'll just back it up a little bit with this ace, just in case it's needed.
Just a little bit. God almighty fish.
So that's what, like 17 plus a good is 25-ish.
Yeah. Oh my god. Fish.
So it's a very well written letter.
Okay. Quite persuasive.
Just basically, yeah, no mention of names of anybody PC-wise involved.
Right.
But otherwise, a fairly good explanation of what happened, how Randolph got involved. The fact that, all the information that we have gained, plus some indication of our current theories about what might be going on with regards to Chekhov and Aloysius.
Okay.
And the the plea that while this is obviously a matter of some importance to the Crown, anything involving Aloysius is of immense concern to the Quigley family, and we want to provide any assistance that we can. We like to clean up our own messes wherever possible, and if there's anything we can do to ensure that Aloysius does not cause any further trouble and to bring him to justice, then I stand not only ready and willing, but eager to assist in any way possible.
So a thoroughly crawling letter.
Thoroughly crawling letter, yes.
Yes. Right. Okay. Yes, you can send that and arrange for a messenger. So, with the miraculous postal service of Victorian London, there's always a boy waiting somewhere.
Yes, always hanging around on the corner ready.
Royal urchins.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we will call it there.
One more just before,
yeah, go for it.
On a similar line. So, returning to the Bavarian embassy, I let the doorman know, or whoever's basically the door staff, to know. I let them know that there may be a gentleman caller this evening. Feel free to direct him to my rooms. Should he appear whilst I am out on the morrow, as may you. Please see that he is suitably accommodated, and I will see to him on my return.
I'm running down the possible options now for who you could be expecting. There's two, because there's...
Yeah, I mean,
it's
the obvious one. Basically, I give a description of the lordling.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You meant.
Yeah.
I was just wondering. It's not going to be Alexei. It's gonna, okay,
No,
that's cool.
but,
No, that's
I mean,
fine.
is that Alistair or Alistair's friend?
It's Alistair's friend.
Alistair's friend
It
Eustace.
was Alistair's
Yeah.
friend. Yeah, that was Eustace.
I then make my way to see the corps attaché.
Okay.
Basically my boss,
Mm-hmm.
for the, and just inform him that I basically apprise him of the evening's event, sir, and say that I am going to take my leave whilst I'm in London.
Sorry, it was Alistair is the one you spoke
right.
to. Eustace is the
Eustace
one who
is
was
the,
in custody for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, so whichever one I glamoured, basically.
Yeah, Alistair.
Yeah. So I let him know that given the Prussian involvement or interest in this case, I will. It might be in all of our best interests for me to accompany Sir Randolph or the British Crown as an interested party on this case to determine whether or not whether or not there are Bavarian interests at harm, or at least if those plans don't fall into the wrong hands and might actually be acquired for the right hands.
Mm-hmm. I love spy stuff.
Oh yeah.
At
some point, we've got to play some Spycraft. It was such a good game. I haven't got the second edition of it, but that's partly because the first edition was such a good game. I didn't really see the need to buy the second edition. And I've got almost a complete set of first edition Spycraft.
Yep. So, we'll leave it there. Everybody's gone to their respective homes. Alistair, by the way, will turn up around midnight.
Sure.
He is slightly the worse for
I
wear.
haven't gone home.
But he's turned up on your doorstep.
Okay.
Babbling about how he had no idea what was going on.
That's fine. I'll send you some info by message.
Okay.
Read that so that we don't take up too much time.
No, that's cool. That's fine. Your little network starts expanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. So, you're at the embassy. You've gone home and written a letter. You've gone back to your digs. And are trying desperately to think of how not to get accused of murder. Actually, you're exploring over the fence, aren't you?
I am.
Point, yeah.
I'm still at the embassy.
Yeah.
I would assume I'm waiting for it to thin out a bit and Carter to join me.
Yeah. And we will handle that when Knight is back.
Yeah.
And we'll do that first, and then skip forward to the meeting in the coffee shop. Assuming you guys don't get yourselves killed in the process. It could happen.
Well, I'm hoping. Yeah, hopefully not.
I hope not. So, I make it that our next session, when we meet again, should be the 16th of June. Because the 2nd is a fishy week, which is going to be slightly wonky because it's one I'm not around for.
Right, let's have a look.
Next week's the 2nd.
Next week, at the moment, we have no idea what's going on next week.
Star Trek.
Because, there's... in fact, we've got no idea what's going on any of mine from this point onwards. So from next week onwards. It comes down to, am I doing a one-shot or something next week, or am I starting a game without Drup, but she will join the week after? I will have to try and work that out between now and next week and get ready to actually play something.
But if you're happy for that to remain the U week, that doesn't mess up the rota. So the second,
I'm fine with that.
So the 2nd is you. The 9th will be Warhammer, which brings the 16th, if that's okay with everybody, back to Falkenstein.
That should be good.
Fine.
I suspect I'll be turning up with a black eye or something. Because either the 15th or the 16th, I'm reasonably sure I've got Victorian Sabre scheduled as a seminar. And one of the other days, I've got, although I think that might be July, I've got an Indian martial arts seminar. Shasta Vidya, however the hell you pronounce that, which looks tremendous fun and incredibly stabby.
Is that the sword dancing?
Yes.
One? Yeah.
Yes. There's that. There's a thoroughly terrifying instructor who looks absolutely fantastic from the videos I've seen. So heavily looking forward to that.
Nice.
So yes, that's going to be a totally different experience. So, back on the 16th then, and we will get that sorted out. Anything people want to think about in the meantime, between now and then, feel free to message me or chuck
Well, I've
it
got
into
to
the
work on
Himplays
my character goals.
Yeah, have a think about your resolution. We know Quigley's, so that's fine. I've got an idea of yours now, Chrono.
Yeah.
But yeah, have a think about them, because they will earn you IPs.
Okay.
And
Like I got one today.
like you got one today. So, we will call that a
We
night.
have
Cool.
just on Discord. We have got both the Hint Plays tabletop channel, which is just general discussion, and we've also got an RPG OOC out of character discussion channel. So any actual discussion of what the heck is going on and what our theories are should ideally be in
Oh, cool.
the
Yeah.
RPG OOC
Yeah.
discussion thing.
Yeah, feel free
As much as
to.
anything, just because that's easier to then find later than in the Hint Plays tabletop channel with all kinds of other stuff in there.
Fair.
Right, so I'll see you guys on the 16th, and hopefully we'll have night back by then.
Yeah.
And
And cheers for that, Drat.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me again.
Right.
I love playing
Thank you.
this. And good night.
Night, everyone.
Indeed. Good night,
Bye.
everybody.